Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, then please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new videos that I post. So today's topic is actually going to be about why I ditched dieting. So this is a video that definitely needs a disclaimer. I am not a health coach, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not in the medical field, and I'm not anyone to give anyone advice or tell them what to do. But I did want to share my story and what I've gone through and why I just decided that diets are a no-go. So I'm gonna start with my experience with dieting and my story. So I would say I got into dieting probably around 16 years old when I realized that I had gained some weight by looking at a picture of myself, and I decided to go hardcore to lose the extra pounds. So what I ended up doing was not eating late, so I stopped eating after 6, cutting out major food groups like sweets or carbs, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost all the extra pounds that I gained in a pretty quick amount of time, but it was not sustainable because people would go out to eat late and I would never be able to share in that experience, or family dinners ended up being late and I wouldn't be able to join. So I feel like I really lost a lot of my social life as well as even family life. I remember just going to bed like starving. I just don't wish that upon anyone. The whole point of this is that it's just not sustainable. You're not going to do it for the rest of your life. And if you can't do it for the rest of your life, then why do it? I went on basically every single fad diet that you can think of that you've ever heard of. I've been on it. The moment I realized and had like a huge wake-up call to not diet any longer was 2018 when I went on keto with my husband. We decided to go on keto because carbs are the enemy and they make you fat, even though we were not fat, I'll tell you that much. And I just have to say another disclaimer that everybody's perfect in their own way. Every body is beautiful. I don't believe that the social norms and standards that are out there are what we should actually look like. I just feel like do what makes you feel good and do what makes you happy instead of trying to, fit the mold of what society says is beautiful and perfect or whatever it is. Anyways, the point is I don't diet because I ended up losing my monthly cycle. I was like freaked out at that point. I knew down the line I wanted to have kids, and I knew that if I didn't have my cycle, that was not going to happen. So going on keto made me lose my monthly cycle, and my story with keto is actually a long one too, but I ended up doing intermittent fasting because it kind of like goes hand in hand. But I ended up losing it, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, if I don't have a cycle, there's no way we're going to have a family. And I did everything in my power to get it back. And I do have a separate video on that if anyone is interested. I'm going to link it down below. But I basically made a pact to myself that no more dieting. You're messing yourself up. You're going to slow down your metabolism. You're going to mess up your bodily functions that are just supposed to happen normally. For what reason, really? Is it sustainable long term? These fad diets are not sustainable. You might lose a couple pounds, you'll gain it all back plus some. Why torture yourself like that? I had to live through it to know what's on the other side. Another thing is it definitely makes you want foods that are not even that amazing, but in your mind, they're so glorified because they're forbidden. So like on keto, I wanted oatmeal really badly, which is like, it's oatmeal, right? Nobody wants oatmeal like as if it's a brownie. But I wanted it so bad because I couldn't have it. When you don't restrict yourself in any food groups, whether that be sugar, carb, whatever it is, aside from like allergies, of course. But when you don't restrict yourself and just eat whatever, things are not as appealing. They kind of just are there and they're good. Like you eat a brownie and you're like, that was good. But when you can't have it, it becomes this like amazing forbidden fruit that you just crave and like glorify and dream about. At least from my experience, you really start to give that thing so much more than it actually is worth. I just feel like balance what your body needs as well as what's good for it But you can also give in to your cravings. Like if you're craving a cookie, have the cookie. It's not gonna kill you. I'm just saying, like, I eat cookies all the time now, and my body's nowhere near perfect, and I don't even care. I don't have a six-pack. I don't want a six-pack. Like, I think that people need to stop dieting because it doesn't last long term, and you kind of torture yourself for literally kind of no reason. So when you deprive yourself, you kind of become obsessed with food. You start to like think about food all the time. You start to imagine, oh man, I want that ice cream so bad, or I want that cookie, or I want nachos, you know? And if you could just have it, you wouldn't even think about it. You'd be like, oh, nachos, cool. You know, have a few and feel good and not dream about it the next day. Like the way it is when you deprive yourself of certain foods. And that's just my experience. I feel like a lot of people can relate, but starving yourself definitely lowers your metabolism, just because your body decides, oh, if I can live off this amount of calories, then why do I need more? So when you start giving it more, you actually start to gain weight because it's used to less. I focus on getting my calories from whole foods. Less processed is better, but every once in a while, like I said, you want that cookie, you want those chips, just have it. You're gonna be healthier mentally and physically because of it, because no deprivation is good for anyone. That's all. Another thing is that women tend to need more calories than men because of, especially like during the cycle time of month or PMS, and we don't realize that our body needs more, but we do crave certain things for a reason. One tip I can give is, for example, if you are craving chocolate, there are healthier alternatives, but they're not always going to do the trick. So kind of like decide, do I want like a Snickers, or do I want like a blended smoothie that I made with banana, cacao, and honey, for example, that tastes like a Snickers. Just depends what you want, and listen to your body, you know. And another thing I noticed is like the more healthy foods you do eat, the more you kind of crave the healthy foods, versus if you're always eating junk and highly processed stuff, your body kind of tends to crave that. So I think it's like about finding that balance and really giving your body what it's asking for and what it needs, which is fuel. Food is fuel. And we shouldn't exercise to burn away calories. We should exercise because our bodies are able to exercise. Like kind of change the mentality of, why am I doing this? Not because I have to, but because I get to. Another thing about dieting, why I gave up, is because it takes away from life. For example, there's a wedding or an event and you can't go because your dietary restrictions don't allow. So for example, you don't eat late and everyone's going out to eat like 9 o'clock, and you're like, I don't eat after 6, I can't go. What am I gonna do, sip on water while everyone's digging into nachos? So it really takes away from like social events and life in general. I feel like it comes back to psychology. Like when you're on a diet, it means you can't have certain things, right? So if someone says don't think about a cookie, right away a cookie pops into your mind. And the same thing works for if you can't have a cookie, suddenly you want it. You probably don't even care for cookies, but suddenly you want it because someone's like, you can't have that, you know? If you let yourself, from my experience, eat whatever you want, just whatever, whenever, food kind of starts to lose its appeal. So you might have thought about brownies as if they're heaven. But once you eat enough brownies, you're kind of over it. You're like, okay, who cares? It's just a brownie. But if you can't have it, like I said, you will be dreaming about it because you just can't have it. Another thing about like healthy foods, everyone has a different definition of what healthy is. I think whole foods, unprocessed, are the healthiest. But at the same time, if cauliflower makes you bloated, I don't know if it's healthy for you. I think you might want to re-choose your vegetables, you know, maybe eat squash instead, or maybe eat, you know, asparagus. Just whatever it is that works for you, and listen into your body, tune in. What is it telling you? If you eat something you don't feel good, maybe think about next time, maybe I don't want to eat this. Focus on eating foods that really just are nourishing and make you feel good. So think about, how am I going to feel after this? And of course, like I said, every once in a while you're going to eat a cookie, you're going to eat a brownie, some chips, whatever it is, ice cream, and you're not going to feel too great after, but that's okay, because for your mental being, it was healthy to have that food at that moment instead of deprive yourself and, like I said, mentally just dream and obsess over that food. Wrapping up, I kind of mentioned some things that I've learned along the way, but what really works for me is to just tune into my body and kind of give it what it wants at the moment and what it needs, and portion control. But at the same time, like I said, sometimes different times of the month you might need more food, and other times of the month you might not have any appetite. But it is important to nourish your body and not starve it, because that can just lead to so many problems down the line. It's not something to mess with. I know with like society and stuff, we're told to look a certain way and to try all the new trends, but honestly, I've done it all, and I can just straight up say, like, none of it works, none of it is sustainable, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth even just trying it for fun, because it can become psychologically like addicting. I feel like I had a point where I kind of just, it was the thrill of the new chase of the new diet. Like, I just wanted to try them all and see what works, kind of like challenge myself. But I feel like what I've learned is there's better ways to challenge yourself. Like, try a new workout that you've never done before. Try a workout you don't think you can do, you know? Make a meal that you never thought you could make out of scratch, you know? Something like that along the lines of like challenge is good, but don't obsess over challenging yourself, like to go on limits that you can't even imagine. So yeah, like I said, every body is beautiful. Every single person has a body that's perfect for them. If you feel like you're not, then just do what makes you feel good, you know? Do what makes your body feel good and happy, and not about squeezing into those, you know, size 0 jeans that you used to wear when you were 18 years old. You know, our bodies change when we get older, and it's like sometimes sabotaging to even look at pictures of yourself when you were younger, because sometimes you were a child at those pictures. So looking back is like comparing your woman body to a child's body, and I'm just saying that's not apples to apples. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is kind of different from what I usually make, but it was on my heart to make this video because it might be something someone needs to hear, and that's just my experience. Like I said, it sounds like I might be giving advice, but I mean it in the best way, that this is just what I've learned and what has worked for me. But I'm not going to tell anyone how to do anything. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I don't mind. It helps me see what you guys want to see and what you don't want to see. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you got some useful information out of it. And I'll see you next time.